Holy shit.
That was a fucking... I have like 5 Skype accounts now.
Why do you have 5?
Because I don't know. I had to keep on trying to sign up so that I could get in. Like, I had one, but I couldn't log in.
Oh, you made 5 of them right now?
I made like 2 of them right now.
Jesus.
Yeah. Just to get here, man. Just to get here.
I fucking appreciate it.
Fucking Skype. I was trying to like log in to the first one I had, and I was like, I can't remember my fucking password for this shit. So I was like, recover my password, and it wanted to send it to like a TCU email account. I haven't had a TCU email account in fucking almost 20 years. Or something.
So I think. So the one that I looked up your name. I just looked in your name. I was like, I typed in Manny Arciniega.
Right.
And it told me that you were in London, and I was like, oh yeah, he probably set up a Skype account because you had to audition via Skype.
Right.
And that's why it's probably a TCU email address.
Right. But I've used Skype since then. But the last time I used it was like, seriously, like 4 or 5 years ago.
Am I old? Am I antiquated? Should I be using something else?
I don't know, because it looks great. Like, fucking, you look good, man.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm
picture
using
looks
a legit
good.
camera.
Everything sounds good. Like, I know how all this shit works. It's just...
You got some nice headphones there.
Well, thank you, man. Thank you.
DT770s, like a champion.
Look at that.
Fucking my
motherfuckers. Ears are comfortable. I'm getting no fucking boosts in any frequencies.
Dude,
I think nice and neutral.
I think I might invest in some. Wait, the fucking thing messed up. Here we go. Fix it. I'll fix it again.
I got another pair of these motherfuckers that are open back. So whenever I like have to do some shit, but like hear, you know what I mean? Like hear like acoustic. Yeah, open back too, all the way.
Sorry, if you could see the feed right now, it's like your window keeps resizing, and I don't know why.
Oh,
I'm an amateur. I'm definitely not a professional.
I know you look pretty professional. Thanks, you look good.
I'm using like a 10-year-old DSLR as a webcam.
Nice.
And I have a decent mic. It's an Electro Voice RE320.
Nice.
It's a decent microphone. I couldn't afford the actual RE20. But I mean, this is pretty much, it's close. It sounds good.
It sounds good.
Fuck, dude.
I'm digging it.
I was just telling the chat because there are 3 people in chat right now, 2 of which are my parents. I don't know who the third person is. I'm trying to get this person to talk to us, and they're not saying anything. Anyway, you have beverages?
I'm in Skype.
Did I ever give you those whiskey glasses back? I think I did, right?
Which ones? Some
Glenlivet ones.
I don't know.
Scotch glasses. I think I did. I don't have them anymore.
I might have been broken by now. I've got new whiskey glasses now. You know how that goes.
How that goes.
You gotta rotate the whiskey glasses because you just keep breaking them, man. Just keep breaking them. Oh, I love the mini fridge setup too. You don't even have to go far.
No, I did that on purpose because I was like, I really don't want to have to. I know that I'm going to have to wet my whistle.
Yeah.
You know, and I do. I definitely have a mini fridge right here for that reason. So I don't have to get up and walk out that door, which door is ugly as fuck. I'm going to paint it soon, but it's a pocket door. So,
Oh, that's cool. So it slides in there.
Look at that right there. Wait.
That's dope.
Right there.
I was about to say, you got is that the 04?
That is the 04
right
head.
There? Age out. Yeah, nice.
That is an 04 head. The one above it is an 02 crown head. I don't have one from 03, but I do have a picture of us from 03. So.
Oh shit! Nice.
All right. Fuck, man. What have you been doing?
Dude, I actually right before I was trying to create 5 Skype accounts to get on here.
I'm sorry, I was like,
shit, what time is it? What? I mean, it's my own damn fault because I should have just fucking remembered what my goddamn password was in the first place, number one. And number two, I should have thought about having Skype because I have my desktop. We're actually down in Virginia right now. We're not up at our place at Silver Spring.
Right. I think I saw that on Facebook. You were talking about how you guys have 2 houses, but you have their second house is shared with some other folks, right?
Yeah. We basically bought into a place with a group of people, one of which is my best friend from growing up down in Texas.
Yeah. And they happen to be
we grew up down the street. They live in DC. Yeah, actually, because it was right after I went to the UK, I met my now wife out there, but she's from North Carolina. Right. So we popped back. I was in Texas for a couple months trying to figure out what was going to happen. She was in North Carolina for a couple months, and then we decided, we wanted to give our relationship a shot, and we'd already kind of became friends. We all knew everything about each other anyway, so we were like, well, fuck it. The only way we're going to figure out if this works is if we just move straight in with each other.
Dude,
and figure out if we can live with each other.
I totally forgot that you guys met overseas. I totally forgot that.
Yeah. We were great friends for 2 years or something. We did everything together,
Yeah.
All that shit you're supposed to do when you date somebody, which is stay up late and to do bullshit or go grocery shopping or any of this, go see different things and whatever.
What we used to
hung
do.
Out all the time.
We used to do that shit.
What we used to do. We did, dude. We did. I was thinking about that the other day, man. Just remember that place that you had in Las Colinas, the apartment or whatever?
That place was the shit. I could not afford that place.
That place was the shit, man. Yeah, but it was fun to hang out there while we could.
We wrote some beats in that place, man.
We wrote some beats in that place, man. I just remember hanging out in that place, drinking coffee and smoking those fucking Camel Red cigarettes that look like they came from the Soviet Union or some shit like that. You remember? Just hanging out and scraping together food at the grocery store and just that was the most fun time.
And I was living there when I recorded Mambo Machine. Remember that shit? I listened to that the other day. It actually came out somewhat decent. I actually thought about remixing it.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I've got all the stems. I've got all the originals.
I fucking used a track from that for a video that I did the other day.
Did you really?
Yeah, because I remember it was for, one of the things, I'm sure we'll talk about all of this at some point in time, but one of the things I've been doing over the pandemic with no music and all sorts of shit is I got into video editing for a nonprofit organization that works for, with elderly citizens and stuff with mentally degenerative diseases and stuff.
Cool.
And they pivoted online, and because I'm one of the youngest people that works there, and I know how to use a computer, they're like, hey, can you make some videos? I was like, I've made one video in my life. I can do this. And they're like, this is great. You want to do all our videos? Sure. This would be great. But they were doing one where the teaching artist, she was a movement artist, she was doing some shit, and she was doing some movements to Fly Me to the Moon. And it was the Sinatra version. And then I was like, oh, I want to get that track to do the credits roll and it heads out to the final intro or final logos and stuff. I was like, I need to use that track. I need the clean audio so I can just use the track without her talking. And then I thought, no, I've got the fucking perfect Fly Me to the Moon track. And I dug through yeah, dude, I dug through a hard drive and figured out where it was. And I was and I grabbed it and put it on, just put the snippet on there, where they sing the hook and a little bit of the intro. And it worked perfectly. I was like, this is so fucking great. Yeah, man.
Dude, I listened to it the other day. I was like, man, a week, 2 weeks ago, I don't remember when it was, but I was like, man, because I found my old hard drive. Look at this mother. This.
Yes, exactly. That's how mine was too. It's a gray one. Is that what brand is that?
Western Digital.
I got a Lacy.
This is the old school fucking. This is the one I had. This is the one I brought to the studio.
Yeah, dope.
It needs a
I
power.
still have my same one too.
It needs a
power. It needs an external power. Mine does too. I had to run it underneath. It was great. I had to go in there. It was hooked up with an old FireWire cable. I had to go find like a different cable to hook it up to USB.
Yeah, and your Mac has like one fucking plug, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Well, we can't all be winners. All right. Fuck. All right, so
but yeah, dude.
I need to know, man. Okay, last time I saw you, I had come to DC because I was in Annapolis working.
That's right.
That was the last time I saw you.
That's right. And we were living in the basement at that time.
Yeah, you guys were in the basement.
In our little basement. Yeah. Yeah. That was a while ago, man.
Dude, you got gray hair. You're old as fuck.
I am old as fuck, man.
But you know what? Your hair is glorious. Like,
thank you.
Fuck. I had to grow a beard because I'm compensating. Look at this.
Man. You just go straight and clean with it now.
Huh? Yeah, I just shave it because I'm like, it actually started, it started fucking thinning when I was like 23, 24. Right.
Oh shit, did I lose you? My connection is so shit out here.
Yeah, you're frozen for sure. But it's a good frozen picture.
That's good.
You're smiling. You look like you're having a great time.
I'll get a boost soon. I'll get a connection boost.
So this is what I want to know.
Yeah.
You're busy as shit. Okay, so before the pandemic thing was going on, you were teaching, right? I gotta assume that you were arranging too.
Yeah, I mean, yes, and so it's it all comes in like waves. Right before the pandemic, I was actually like cutting down. The thought was, Camden owns like a couple businesses like in the tourism industry, and they were doing really well.
Right.
And so we were she was doing well enough where we're using her income to like kind of live off of, and my income was all supplemental. So it's like, well, fuck, I don't have to like hustle my ass off as much as we need to. And we got 2 kids running around.
Right.
Why don't I not worry so much about pulling together a big studio of students right now and just like hang out with the kids.
Right.
And take on, the playing work that I want to take on, and figure out where that balance is. And that was like, because Emin was born the spring before.
Right.
So we kind of went through the fall, and I had a few students, and then I was kind of like telling them, yeah, you know what? I don't think I'm going to come back next semester and do any teaching. I kept like a couple, like 2 or 3 that were like, oh, please, like, we'll do whatever, we'll do, we'll come to your house, or we'll do, and I was like, okay, yeah, sure. We can make this work. But yeah, so I was like, literally like kind of shedding it away. And then the pandemic hit. And so I didn't have any fucking students when that went down. I was like, oh fuck, I should have kept all these students, because that would have been such a nice, cushion to fall back on.
Yeah.
Just like pivoting to the online stuff. But yeah, that was it. I mean, we had a couple students that were kind of still going. Luckily I still had my relationship with the kind of school that I was working with.
Yeah. I was actually just looking at the website earlier today.
Yeah.
I was like, hey, well, he's still listed as faculty.
Yeah. And I mean, I still did, like, I just did 2, they do a performance series every year. And I just did 2 performances out of their little performance series thing. And I did right when the pandemic hit, they were looking for anyone who could do any online stuff or whatever. I was like, yeah, man, I'll do a masterclass or something. I did like a Latin masterclass, Latin percussion masterclass or something for them. And then I taught a couple classes over the spring, but then they were kind of pivoting to summer stuff, and they didn't really know what they wanted to do. And I was like, not really interested in getting more students. And at the time, we were kind of on unemployment but still had some savings and trying to figure out what we were going to do. But I kind of budgeted to where, kind of taking advantage of like some grants and some other things like mortgage forbearance and all these things that we could take advantage of being in the position we were.
Yep.
And we're just like, you know what, fuck it. Like, we're just going to ride this out for a little bit. And we moved down here for like 2 months in the summertime. so we could like learn what the fuck was going on down in this like whole
wait.
Crazy
so
place.
you guys invested in this property obviously before the pandemic.
We started talking about investing in it before the pandemic. We started going through the process of purchasing.
Did you hear it?
Late fall.
All three of my viewers, did you hear it? The process. That's the London coming out.
You motherfucker.
You know I'm going to give you shit. That's what I do.
Good. That's what you're supposed to do.
Right.
So, but yeah, we started going through that end of the fall into the new year of 2020. And actually we're like...
Wait, so into the fall...
Finishing up...
into the fall 19? Into the new year 2020?
Yep.
Oh, so right when the shit was about to hit the fan, you were closing on this house.
We were figuring out what we needed to do to make it happen and to close, and then we didn't actually physically close until after the pandemic happened. We signed the papers in masks, socially distanced outside with like the lawyer, like at separate tables and stuff. Like
Whoa.
We have a picture of all of us like with our thumbs up, like separated, distanced outside in masks, because we like signed the papers at the end of March 2020 and basically got the keys to this place like early April. Then to come down here like early April and see stuff. So like at the time when we were signing these papers, we were like, what the fuck are we doing? This is stupid.
So what,
like we don't,
what was the goal? I mean? What's the goal? What are you guys doing? Is it like
the goal was,
you starting
the only really goal of it. Yeah, exactly. The only really goal of it was there's a cool old house here, big house that's unfinished. And so the goal is to finish the house and add more rooms so that everyone has loads of places to stay and sleep, and a place that we can escape the city and be out kind of in the middle of nowhere and have some time to do whatever the fuck we want to do. And there's like an old 19th century grist mill on the property that's like been used up until the 1980s.
What?
So like it still has all the rollers. It still has everything. Like if we like could sink $1 million into it, we could have that shit running and grinding flour, but we're not going to do that shit. Right now it's just an awesome fucking place that like Camden, being the history nut she is, has been researching everything having to do with her family history, this family history that built this place and the history of the area. She's like putting it up on the registry, of National Historic Places to try and figure out if we can like get some extra kind of grant money and stuff like that. But just
you got to be careful because they're going to start telling you what kind of doorknobs you can get.
That's the shit, right? Yeah. But yeah, and then like also the person who bought it. So they've had basically the entire owner since this place has been built has been in one family, except for the owner that just had it before us. So the guy before him, who's still alive, by the way, he's in his fucking 90s. We met him. He came around and hung out at the place. Yeah. He turned it into a vineyard. He was like, you know what? Like, I'm not going to grind flour anymore. I'm going to plant grapes up here on this big ass field that we get, and I'm going to use the Butler buildings as the area to do the wine. And I'm going to use the mill pond that used to run down into the head race and tail race to get the wheel going, to make everything move. He's like, I'm going to use that water for irrigation, and he built like an irrigation system through the vineyard and stuff. And he started selling, like basically growing grapes and making wine. And so then the guy who bought it after him carried on that tradition just really poorly and started making really bad wine. So he was trying to sell it for all sorts of money, but no one was going to buy it because it wasn't doing very well or whatever. So we ended up getting it at a very good price. And all of us splitting up the cost basically. And it has, it has vines on it, and it has fucking all the equipment we need. There's tractors, there's sprayers. Well, I mean, there's relics of these things. Some of them are in more disarray than not, but there's like giant fermentation tanks and a fucking grape press and a grape crusher. And so we like this fall crushed a ton of Chambersand grapes and have like almost 1,000 liters of wine sitting in a fermentation tank right now that we don't really know what we're going to fucking do with, but we know that we can do it. So, like right before I got on this phone call with you, I was talking to the guy who has a vineyard, and they have a winery about 2 miles down the road. They've been in operation now for like 15 years. And I've been over there like all the time, like, how do you do this thing? How do you do this thing? And just working in their vineyards for free and just asking questions. Like, so we've been winter pruning right now. I've been learning how to like cut grapes and like prune down the vines. And he was teaching me, I was asking him a bunch of questions on how to build a spray rig. And tomorrow we're going to go to the hardware store so I can try to build this spray rig, and talking about how to design a spray schedule to spray grapevines so that we can grow grapes and make wine out of it for no other reason than it's there.
All right. I think we might have already answered the question of what the fuck are you doing to be more than just the person who goes to work and brings home money, because you were doing the music hustle, right? Like, you were doing. You could. I'm guessing, and you can obviously tell me when I'm wrong. I assume, because I talked to Noyes not too long ago.
Oh, fucking Noyes.
Yeah, we had a 2002 Crown Snareline Zoom call that Dave Reyes set up.
That's great.
It was fantastic.
Dude, we had an 05 regiment snare call that Dennis set up, and that was fucking awesome.
I'm trying to get an 03 one done, but
that 03 one would be, especially with the. Did you hear about the regiment's show? Announcement for right. It's gotta happen.
I reposted that, and I was like, I don't know how I feel about this right now.
I mean, you know what?
I've never been rebooted before. Oh, my mom's in the chat. She says she'll buy your wine.
All right. Well, we'll send it to her for free first to see if she wants to stand by that statement. But I'm putting her on the list as trial participant.
Just make sure your health insurance is good before you fucking... Okay, Mom?
It's good. It's fermented. It's good. Alcohol will take care of any of the stuff. You can't really...
It's going to be fine.
I've been doing the research. You can't really like get in too much trouble with wine.
Is it organic, though? That's my question.
So, Virginia is tricky because basically Virginia is the worst place to grow grapes, basically, because every sort of fungus and pest lives in Virginia and wants to eat all the grapes or destroy all the vines. So you actually have to, there's only, I think, 1 or maybe 2 vineyards in the entire state that are certified organic. And they only grow like hybrid varietals that they like really, really baby and take care of. So we would like to, our ultimate goal, we are very much fans of like the like biodynamic, like organic wine scene, and especially like producers of what quote unquote natural wines are, where it's like low intervention stuff. Like they don't add extra sulfites. They don't do filtration. Like they just basically put the grapes in the barrel, let the native yeast attack it, do its thing, and like do very little to it and put it in a bottle and say, that's fucking wine. That's how they did it back in the day. It's how we're going to do it now. And it's some of my favorite wine to drink. So we're definitely going down that route. We're just trying to figure out how we can do it with as little spraying as possible. But I think we're going to have to spray a little bit. So I don't think it's going to be certified organic, unfortunately.
I mean, you're going to have to, right? On some level.
I think we have to. Yeah. It's just like basically like, old TJ Thomas Jefferson was kind of right when he was like, Virginia would be a great place to grow wine, but also like, or grapes, but he couldn't get his slaves to do it. So you know what I mean? Like if he couldn't do it and he had free labor, it's going to be hard for us to get it. Although.
Wait.
Okay, sorry.
I'm going to back up. My dad says, if you can't make wine, make jelly. So, all right. So you were presumably you were teaching, right?
Yeah.
You were playing gigs. You had done an album at least with your band, your rock band, epic rock band.
That was a country folk band.
That's what I said, rock band. Where you had a suitcase for a bass drum.
Yeah.
And I wanted to smack you because it was so hipster I couldn't stand it.
It was so nice. That was the easiest load in and load out ever.
I was like, I don't blame him, actually. It was,
no, dude.
I put everything in the motherfucker
Yes, that was how I designed it. I was like, if it doesn't fit in there and I can't make it work, it's not going to be on the drum.
It had like a nice tweed on it, didn't it?
It was, my landlord from the basement gave it to me.
Yo, it sounded great. It sounded good.
They put a bike on that thing and it would bump.
Yeah, man, I'm telling you.
It would really bump. I played there's this place outside of Nats Park, National Park, the baseball stadium. They do like outdoor concerts, and they call it the bullpen. It's like before the game, pre-game stuff, and then after the game, they keep it open for all the baseball, fans to go and keep drinking and they always have live music. I played the Suitcase Kit there one time, and they mic'd it up, and that shit filled out the whole. It was this tiny little drum kit in the middle of the stage, and it was like everybody's boom, boom. Yeah, right.
Where did that?
Oh, so funny.
Where's that coming from? All right, so
and then I was the first one unloaded at the end of that gig.
So you were teaching. You were playing in the rock band. You had. Were you writing it all?
I've been doing
up noise. I was like, well, I know not this past time I talked to him, I didn't ask him, but the time before that, which was like 10 years ago, he said that you had written his pit book for him.
Yeah, I did a couple for him. And then I did some for Jimmy, too, Lebret.
Where is he at?
I think he's like a real estate agent now or something like that. I think everyone's a real estate agent now, basically, in Texas. That seems to be the move.
Man.
Except Reyes. Reyes went into finance.
He did. Yeah, recently.
Yeah, which he's loving. Yeah, very recently, which he's loving.
But you know what he told me, though? He said he was still teaching lessons on, like, Sundays. Nice. Right? And it was enough to cover his mortgage. I was like,
fucking Reyes.
What the fuck am I doing with my life?
Dude, that motherfucker hustles, though.
He really does.
Dave, teaches a lot.
Fuck, dude, he's got enough lessons to cover his mortgage on a Sunday. So he does four Sundays in a row, and he's covering his mortgage. Cool. Whatever.
Dude, people, well, shit, man. You know how how crazy they are in Texas for drums.
It's true story.
They want that shit ready to go. Yeah, man. Yeah. Jimmy, at one point, Jimmy was doing the stuff at Lake Highlands.
Yep, that's the last spot.
And I wrote a couple.
I remember him was Lake Highlands.
Yeah, and I did a couple of his full books, like Pit and Battery.
Oh shit,
which was fun. Yeah, and then he reached out to me like a year or two ago. Was actually like, hey, I'm I think he was at another place. I don't remember where, but he was like, I think I'd love for you to do another book for me. But then I never heard back from him. And then I heard that he had kind of pivoted over to something else.
Interesting. All right.
Yeah,
all right,
but I'm not for sure.
So, rein it in. Rein it fucking in. You were doing all this shit. You got married. You had the babies. Mahler. What a great fucking name, by the way. And by the way, I saw that shit coming.
That was candid, man. That was all candid.
Really?
Yeah, dude. It was her idea.
You know what?
Totally her idea.
Now that you mention it, you probably would have named your kid like Shostakovich or something.
Oh, yeah. I would have gone straight for the Russians.
Yo, I did. I went back in time. I pulled out that old hard drive and I listened to all the Mambo Machine stuff. And then I listened to your comp recital, which is fantastic.
Oh, thanks,
by
dude.
the way.
That's fun.
It still stands up. Tycho did a great job playing those piano parts. I feel like I might have heard some mistakes in there, but that shit was hard. You wrote some hard shit.
Probably not on purpose either. Probably just because I didn't know what the fuck I was doing.
I don't think she practiced that much either, to be honest.
Nah, she was good though.
She just sired the shit at the gig.
Totally.
She warmed up on the sticks out.
Yeah, exactly. That was, and then that was the same one where we did the Mars Volta show with the Pascal kids. Man, that was a blast,
dude. Richard, holy shit,
dude. Richard is great.
He's
all over the map.
He's a fucking rock star.
Proper rock star.
He made fools of us.
Nah, man, he's my shit. Had 2 semesters worth of hanging out with him in his high school careers, and then we did his audition for North Texas, which was super fun. And then I remember his freshman year at North Texas, he called me or he messaged me or something, but at some point he got in touch and he was like, hey, I want to ask you your opinion on something. and he gave me the whole spiel about how he was, doing lessons and everything was great. And he had talked to his teachers at North Texas. They had told him one thing, but he had gotten an opportunity to go drum down.
I think it was Austin.
With somewhere in Austin with some dude who was kind of blowing up, asked him to be in the band. And it was like a paying opportunity to like go and play drums. And, all his teachers in North Texas were telling him to stay and get the paper. And he's like, what do you think I should do? And I was like, what do you want to do? He's like, I want to play drums for a living. I was like, then go play drums for a living. You don't need a piece of paper for that.
100%.
And he's playing drums for a living.
Dude.
And he's getting the proper work experience to do it.
Dude, so today he posted something on Instagram of a picture of him at Warped Tour. And it took me back.
Brilliant.
So when he was a high school senior, like, with the emo hair and the,
dude.
It's classic Richard. Now he doesn't wear anything that wasn't made in the 70s.
Yeah, exactly.
But such a good kid. So okay, so you did all this shit. I guess, is this what you're doing? You're doing the real estate thing and the wine and all that stuff to kind of keep yourself sane?
No, I mean, real estate has nothing to do with it, really. I make bad real estate decisions. That's what I do. But I mean, honestly,
right, so the real estate wasn't like it wasn't like you were trying to invest in a property to make money off the properties per se. This was just a vehicle for you to do something else. It sounds like
this was a vehicle, to have like a place. Well, one, to have a place with some really good friends that we were like, hey, let's this is a cool place we can get into certain trouble here and and fuck around and have some fun. And, ultimately, we're going to have people come play music here. And we're going to invite people down like you guys to come and chill and open it up to have as a place where more people can come and congregate and get into more trouble and have, memorable moments. That's hard to do that in a house in the city. Right. You only have so much room to share. A house this, big, which has the potential to have more rooms and land where people can camp or bring their RVs or whatever and have a good group of people and make big food and, and hang out that was too enticing to pass up.
Right.
And then just the idea of owning a bit of more land, there's room to kind of spread out here a little bit and not worry so much about shit happening around us or development or anything like that. It's a small town.
Yeah.
We've got a 16-acre plot. There's no one next to us.
Wow.
So it's fucking quiet at night. We don't hear cars and shit.
You got light pollution over there?
A little bit. But again, you go out into the upper hill of the vineyard and you lose a lot of it. And so the stars are amazing in the wintertime. You know what I mean? Shit like that, dude. Sunsets are incredible. We catch some of the Blue Ridge in the distance and you get the sunsets on the Blue Ridge. And it's just this is, that's what I want to, if I can just waste time out here, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to find ways to be as lazy as well. But that's the thing. We're working our asses off down here.
Yeah, but it's
that great kind of work, that's physical,
right, that's what I was going to say.
Mental.
It's almost meditative.
Yes.
I was,
exactly.
It's so funny. When I first bought my house, within a month, I've got a bunch of big trees. I got maples and stuff on my property. I don't have as much space as you do. I have a third of an acre, if that.
Still.
Quarter of an acre, maybe. And I got a bunch of trees on my property. And within 1-2 months of me buying this place, we had a huge storm and a huge branch of a tree came down in my backyard.
Yeah.
And then was it 6-7 months after that, another one came down. I just finished cleaning up the one, and then the next one comes down. And then a year later, another one comes down. And then 3 months after that, a fucking tree came down. And so one day I'm out there and I'm I don't have a chainsaw. I should probably buy one, but I don't have a chainsaw. And so I'm out there with a handsaw, just fucking cutting shit up.
That's sweat right there.
Right? I'm just cutting the shit up. I'm talking, some of these branches are big honking fucking,
Yeah.
And my neighbor behind me, he's shouts, he sees me out there. He's working on his truck or something. He's like, hey, I got a chainsaw. You want to borrow it? I was like, no, I don't, actually. I'm having a good time. It's kind of meditative. Just just working hard, fucking cutting it one piece at a time by hand. It was great. And this was at a point in my life where I was balls deep in the Navy, doing Navy things all day, every day. I had no life. And so on the weekend, when I would have spare time, it was fun to just go out there and cut up a bunch of wood all day.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. You got one thing to focus on.
Yeah.
And you just got to think about not cutting your finger off.
Right.
That's it.
It's like putting, it's so, and I started teaching, a couple of years ago, I started teaching lessons for my Parks and Rec.
I remember you talking.
Yeah. And I had a couple of adult students. One of them was like 40 something years old. She was like some housewife, and her husband was in the Marines or something like that. She was like, he's on deployment. I got nothing to do. She's like, I might as well learn how to play drums. I was like, that's fantastic. And this is what we're doing. We're learning how to play drums. Yeah. And I told her, I was like, look, I don't know. I asked her, I was like, what do you hope to do with this? Like, what's your goal? Like, are you trying to play in a band? What are you trying to do? And she's like, I don't really know what I'm trying to do. And I was like, you know what? At the very least, this is a fantastic meditation. You put those headphones on with a Met, and you got your pad, and you work on something like the fucking first page of Stick Control. That's all you need for like an hour, 2 hours.
Yeah.
That's all you need.
Yeah. It's exactly what meditation is.
It's exactly
right? That's the whole point of the exercise. Exactly. That's what, exactly. Yeah, those kind of little meaning, like, I'm having the most fun with that kind of stuff. I mean, going out, the thing I'm loving right now is pruning, because I've never done that shit in my life. And I don't even know what the fuck I'm really doing, but I know more than I did a week ago or 2 weeks ago after getting a few opportunities to do it with someone who knows what they're doing. And so now I've just been out on ours, and like we had our friends here, like here the past weekend, we were all doing it out there, which is great to have people to chat with and do it stuff. But I was out there by myself today for a couple hours, just like snip. That's the only sound you hear. It's snip, snip.
Is there like a technique to it? Like, is there like a?
Yeah,
there has to be.
There's a whole thing. There's there's like different stages in the cycle of growth season going on, and we are in the stage that's like coming after winter, right before the spring, where you need to cut away all the dead wood and only leave room for like the good wood, the live vine to kind of keep growing, because it's going to produce new shoots, and that's where all the grapes are going to grow from and all that shit. So you got to cut away all the other bullshit that's going to get in the way and also suck up extra energy from the vine, So you got to find all that old wood to get rid of. And what we're having a great time with now is we've got these right now everything on the vineyard is Concord, which is not our favorite type of wine making grape.
Makes great jelly.
Makes great jelly.
Right, Dad?
Exactly. But we also kind of like the idea that these things are on there for free, so we might as well use them as the fucking practice, before we put other shit in the ground. And then two, it's like who doesn't associate like kind of America with Concord? You know what I mean? Everything about that name and the grape is like quintessential America. So we're like, how can we like make a weird ass wine out of these like quintessentially American grapes? Like that would be a fun way to try to make this happen. So
you could call it,
last year
we could call it Blue Devil.
Blue Devil. Ooh, yeah, right. Dun, dun, dun. Well, we were talking this past fall, we harvested whatever we had, because last year we got the place too late to know what the fuck we were doing.
Right.
We just let the vines grow. Basically, we tried some different pruning going on. We didn't do any spraying.
What?
There were some gnarly ass looking vines by the end of it, but there were still some grapes on it. So we just grabbed whatever we could. And my buddy Nat, who's kind of taken over like the wine making responsibilities, because he's made wine before in his basement.
Oh, interesting.
This is considerably larger scale and like crazier. But he was like, you know what I'm going to do with this? It's like, I'm going to try to make a rosé out of this fucking Concord. Who's ever heard of a Concord rosé? Like, I've never fucking heard of that shit. So he's making this thing, and then he was like, I'm going to make something else called like a piquette, which is like what they used to make in the olden days, like old school, where they would take all the grapes, smash them up, take all the juice that they wanted to, and use that for the fermentation tanks. But then they were left with all the skins and like mushed up shit called the grape must. And then what the vintners would do is just like pour a bunch of water on that shit, let it ferment a little bit more. And that's what they would give all their farm workers for free as like a, you can drink this while you're working because it's not as alcoholic. So they're not going to get super drunk and can't like not do their job. But also it's like still tastes a bit like wine and like, kind of still gets you a little drunk. So that's called a piquette. So he was like, he tried making a little piquette.
Kind of thing, like a 6 or a 5?
Maybe. Yeah, maybe.
That's super low for a wine.
Super low for a wine, but like still like it could be like light and refreshing, and there's actually like there's a kind of a return with some of these hipster natural winemakers, who are making weird old shit like that, like piquettes. So
right.
Like, well, if we could fucking like use a Concord grape to then make a rosé and a piquette, we're getting 2 like things that then we could potentially offer people out of one grape that we were getting for free, and it's like a fucking weird stuff. And so we were drinking this piquette with like super fancy ass sourdough bread that Nat had baked and like peanut butter, and we were like calling it like peanut butter and jelly like style. Like we were like, we'll fucking offer this in the tasting room, like a peanut butter and jelly like combo, like glass of piquette.
Do you guys have
and like toast with peanut butter? I mean, we've got the old mill. That's what they were using as the tasting room before.
They had made the old mill. It was like a legit working vineyard.
Yeah, totally.
And it went under for some reason because they didn't have the shit that you guys have.
Well, it's like the dude was getting old. He didn't want to fucking, do all the work, and he just wasn't making good shit, man. It did not taste good at all. We have a bunch of it left over.
I mean, whoever heard of Virginia wine?
And it's a thing, man. It's a thing. Okay. It's a thing, and it's only getting bigger,
dude.
It's the second largest grape or winemaking industry in the United States, next to California.
Really?
Yeah. There's a lot of it. Not all of it is good, but there's a lot. Of it.
It's not like,
but there's some places
like
trying
beer.
to.
You can do beer anywhere.
Yeah, right. Yeah, fucking vines.
I mean,
dude.
It comes down. From what I've heard, it comes down to the water with beer.
That makes sense.
I mean, obviously the hops and all the other stuff, but like, really, one of the bigger things that people talk about is the water. So.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, with this shit, it's just the climate. We live in like Virginia's tropical, like subtropical.
Yeah.
Not a great wine or grape growing climate. I mean, they'll grow, but.
I mean, they're doing it in Texas.
Yeah, Texas like grapes are actually a thing, man.
I know.
Like Texas wines are kind of hit.
I remember driving from fucking Dallas to Fort Worth, and I would drive through, and it was on, what was that road? Was it 20? There was like a vineyard right off of 20 or something.
No way. I don't even remember that.
Am I wrong?
Maybe that. Oh, shit. 20? Yeah.
Kind of
that you would take 20.
Kind of in the mid cities. Yeah. When I was leaving Las Colinas, there was a place.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. Everywhere, dude.
So this is what you're doing then.
Yeah. I mean, the secret blessing of the pandemic, right, has been that like, instead of trying to hustle and bustle with all the music stuff, or even Camden, I mean, like, Camden's jobs went down under immediately,
So wait.
So both of our shit.
Wait, pause. So last time I talked to you, which is, talked to you, which was like 2000, whatever, 13. She was like in the tourism business.
Yeah.
Right? That's what she's still doing, yeah? On some level.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, completely.
So like,
well, I mean, that's our main gig, like, for sure.
With a pandemic, you can't do that shit. Not in person.
Exactly.
Like, that's got to be
no. Yeah, she like, she's good at her job. So they ended up making her an owner of like both of the companies that she was working with.
Holy shit.
So she was dealing with all the like logistical stuff and the admin stuff and getting paid a salary there, and then she'd also get dividends from like the profits of the company and stuff like that. Whoa. So yeah, man, she was doing great. And like they were, balling. They were doing fantastic, and they're like international now, and they have like some cities abroad that do tours that they affiliate with, and they were doing like third party marketing and like all the like, her and her business partner were pretty savvy with all that shit. So they were fucking going to town. But as soon as all that stuff happened, all the tours stopped, all the affiliate marketing stopped. They couldn't pay themselves salaries, and they've just been trying their best to keep the business afloat and try to take care of like their employees in some way so that they'll come back when it's, you know, kind of all over. And there's light at the end of the tunnel, you know, like there's some motion that's happening in the future. Hopefully they like kick back up. But for the past year, yeah, there's been like zero. So she's been doing, I mean, they've been doing a lot of stuff where she's doing a ton of work for the companies to keep the social media presence going. They started a podcast of their own, a history podcast. That she actually edits and does, which is awesome. And so she's been down in the basement doing all the learning how to use Logic, learning how to use like all the mics and stuff. Dude, it came in handy, man. This is the time where it came in handy. Right now.
You're like, why the fuck is Pat showing me all this stuff?
No, man, it's been the most fun, dude. It's been the most fun. But yeah, so she hasn't paid herself a salary to do any of that shit. So she's been working. She's been trying to like just do a little bit of odd jobs here and there for a little extra cash. But we, you know, we despite all of that craziness and like as much as like our industries kind of fell by the wayside. I mean, we were very lucky. We got like great support network. We've got, you know, our savings. And then like because she's the way she is, she's jumped on every single like grant opportunity we've qualified for. She was applied for PPP loans for her businesses. And even we have a small business, the two of us, which is how we filter all of our contract work into kind of a single entity. And that qualified for a PPP loan. So, you know, we get like a little extra bump there and like all that kind of stuff. So, because she is so savvy at what she does, like we're knocking on wood, but with the stimulus package that's kind of, you know, just got passed, and we can take advantage of some things like that, and with the kind of mortgage forbearance that we've been able to take advantage of through all the, you know, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac stuff and all that, like we are maybe going to get out of this thing relatively unscathed without having to like empty out savings accounts and like doing all this stuff. You know what I mean?
I know exactly.
We're hopefully optimistic, but we're like,
it seems,
shit, can we actually keep our head down through this shit and actually like I can make it out the other side?
I know exactly what you mean. Like it's the same with me. Like it just seems like if I play my cards right, I could come out of this ahead in a better, almost a better place than I was.
Right.
If I'm smart about how this goes down. Which is so strange. But I mean, like with me, I've been able to save. So for the past, so you remember how you were saying that you guys bought that house about a year ago? Mm-hmm. That's exactly what happened with my ex. She bought her house about a year ago. And like, I remember like the day that she like signed for her house was like the same day that they like locked down Connecticut. They were like, everybody stay in your house. So she literally like bought the house, signed for it, and then it was like, okay, quarantine. Like locked the fuck down. And the kids stopped going to school. And part of our agreement when we divorced was that the kids were supposed to spend half their time at her place and half of their time at my place. Mm-hmm. But the problem was she didn't have a place until she bought that house.
Right.
So literally the day that she bought that house, we have a 2-2-3 schedule. So they're 2 days at her house, 2 days at my house, 3 days at her house, and it switches. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday, the kids switch houses. And as soon as that schedule started, we were locked down. And it's been like that pretty much ever since. And now she's leaving. She's moving to Arizona. So I'm going to be a full-time dad. Now, this work from home thing has been kind of a blessing in disguise.
Right.
Because I haven't had to spend any money on childcare.
That's awesome.
Because I'm here. I'm right here in this fucking chair. And my daughter is on the other side of the wall doing school, and my son is over there doing his school in his room.
Right.
And as long as it stays that way, we're going to be fine. Like, it's better for me. Now, the minute that I have to go back to work, that's going to fucking suck.
Right.
Even though it's just down the street. I work literally down the street. I walk to my office.
Oh, that's pretty dope.
It is dope. It's dope as shit. But fuck, man, it's working out. And so I'm kind of going, this is kind of a blessing in disguise. Like, it sucks that this is going down and we're having to deal with all this, but I think the cool thing that we've learned, hopefully as a country, is that a lot more people can work from home than we thought.
Right? That, like, if there's again, trying to flip it to the positives on this whole thing, that is an ace in the pocket if there's ever been one, man. Like, the idea that, I mean, how much stuff can get done without people having to, like, schlep to and from a stupid office place?
Dude.
How much money can a company actually save by not having to have a mortgage or rent a space in an office space, and people can, like, do shit like that we're doing now,
That's
right?
my shit, man. Like, so 100%. Like, my department, and I write procedures. Who'd have thought, right? Like, I sit here and I edit shit and I make sure it reads the right way and it's got all the right commas and the, you know. But my little department, there's like, I think there's about 20 of us right now. We're actually more, what's the word I'm looking for? Not proficient. Efficient? Productive. We are more productive working from home than we ever were at the office.
Yeah. How much time at the office is spent just, like, trying to find ways to waste time?
Oh, 100%. Like, so, like this company is not small. Not small.
Right.
Like, fucking big. And, I'm not going to say who it is because I don't want to.
Oh, yeah. Fair.
I don't want to fucking. They did send an email. Like, they sent not an email, but they made a post on one of our internal websites about just be careful about your social media, whatever. So anyway, big fucking company. I usually work on a floor that has, like, is it like over 100 people working, right? It's like a sea of cubicles, right? But you share a cubicle with 3 other people. And so the 3 people in my cube, we're all in the same department. We all became really good friends. There would be times during the day we would just all turn around in our chairs and we start bullshitting and we start talking about shit like, oh shit, what's going on with this and what's going on with that? And 20, 30, 40 minutes would go by, which is good. It's good for morale.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I don't have that here.
No.
I don't.
That's the weird thing about it too. And like that, I guess one negative maybe about it is that, like, delineation of work to home life or whatever, it gets really skewed, right? Like, at least I find myself, like, there's no time limit on whatever when I need to work on something. It's like, oh, I need to get this done. I could work on it during the day or I could work on it in the middle of the night. It doesn't really matter. Right. But I'm not going to put that time limit where it's like, okay, I'm done. I'm going to put it away. If there's something I want to get done on it, I'm like, okay, I'm going to keep working. And, like, sometimes that's a bad thing. To, like,
I think it depends on what you're doing, right? Like, my job.
That's true.
My job, I have 40 hours. Once my 40 hours are hit,
you're done.
I log off my fucking computer and that's it. I'm done.
Nice.
Unless they authorize me overtime, which I'll use.
Nice.
I will use overtime. I want the extra money. But yeah, once I'm done, I'm fucking done. I walk away. It's not the Navy. The Navy was like, we have you whenever we want you.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. And you get paid the same. Who gives a shit? But this one, once 40 hours hits, I'm fucking done. I put it away.
See, I don't have those boundaries the same way because it's like, we'll give you this bulk amount of money to make this project happen.
Right.
And the project, you're like, I mean, it's a reflection. You know how it goes. It's a reflection on you as what you do. So, like, you're always putting way more time into it than you initially. Like that fucking, I had to do one of these, for the school that I kind of teach at, the performance. They wanted to do an all virtual performance, and I did like a proposal to do like a Piazzolla concert.
Sweet.
Yeah, exactly, right. And so I rearranged a bunch of Piazzolla music for this quartet that I play with, which is, like not standard instruments, but not standard instruments for classical music. It's a electric guitar player, an electric bass player, and a violinist who likes to use electric violin with pedals and stuff. And we do a bunch of like weird ass electronic music, and we can like sync up our live loopers and do like weird, we played one concert where we like busted out a Bjork tune in the middle of it, shit like that. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. So we were playing Piazzolla, but it was like, yo, we're going to make this fucking weird. We're going to throw some distortion on it. Like, we're going to throw some effects on it.
By the way, he would love it.
Of course he would.
Yeah.
That's exactly what my point was. Like, if this is, him now, he's writing shit like this. He's not writing, what he was writing.
Speaking of which, I think today would have been his 100th birthday.
It was. That's why we did this proposal. Right. Was to celebrate his 100th anniversary of his birthday, which is today, which is also the anniversary of when the WHO classified COVID-19 as a pandemic. So the entire online video virtual performance was, we took Piazzolla's music through the life of his 4 seasons, and he wrote a piece called The 4 Seasons of Buenos Aires, and we used each one of those seasons as a marker in his piece, and then we took another piece from various points in his life, early career, middle, later, and then posthumous, and laid them all out that way. But all of the imagery and all of the kind of talking around what the pieces also reflected was also the 4 seasons that we all experienced during the pandemic. So the spring was like the outbreak of the pandemic and the lockdowns and quarantine. Summer was all about like, do you remember California was on fucking fire the entire summer? / all the like weird, QAnon misinformation shit / like all that crazy stuff. Fall was all about kind of voting and like that kind of like build up to voter registration and then all that controversy.
Summer was all about the protests and stuff, wasn't it? Still,
exactly.
That's a huge part of what some.
That was part of it. That was part of our videos as well. And then winter, at the time was when we put the actual performance together. They scheduled it for January. I had to submit it before the inauguration, and I was working on it right at the middle, when all that January 6th stuff happened. So all that stuff is breaking while I'm literally putting the video together. So a lot of that footage made it in there and a lot of that kind of commentary. But the end of the 4 seasons, or at the end of that particular one, the winter one, hits back to spring again. So it's very hopeful and stuff. So there was all like, and that's right when they were like authorizing emergency use for the vaccines. So it was like very like, there was a lot of that going. And like, they have a minimal budget for that shit. Like, right. I think they were like, we'll give you $2,000 to make this happen. And I got to split that up between 4 people.
Right. And you're working your ass off like 70 hours a week because it's a passion project because you can't help yourself. Yeah. I did have a mental breakdown while doing it, man. I had like a full blown panic attack. Like, actually part of the reason why too is like right when I was finishing up. Do you remember the guy that I went to school with who was also a composer, percussionist named Daniel Reeves? Does that name sound familiar at all? He went to TCU?
He went to TCU for like 2 years, like not even 2 years. And then he left to go do something else. But he was like a percussionist, but he was really more into composing, and he wrote some pieces. He wrote a piece for me for like my sophomore recital when I wanted to do a sophomore recital. Yeah. It was a multi-percussion piece called Metal. Ooh. And
was
it was like all metal and stuff. I think you were around for that, to be honest.
I probably was.
You totally were, yeah. But anyways, like we were very good friends in college, and we stayed good friends. And he actually had he was going through a really rough time. He had lost his dad early in his kind of college career. Oh, he was pretty depressed about that. He was going through his own personal stuff. He actually had an issue where he actually overdosed on some drugs he was taking at the time, and killed like a part of his brain. Basically, he had to relearn how to walk. He had to relearn how to do basic like motor skills and functions and stuff. And
this isn't the same. This isn't the same guy that we talked about years ago who had like kept a journal, and you and I had discussed like.
That's Soul Pumpkin. That was Daniel Allen.
That was Dan Allen?
I know exactly what you're talking. That's Dan Allen.
Are you shitting me?
The one who had the journal that I like found, and it was like, oh, like this is him, and I wrote in it.
And we were going to do like an art installation based on this.
Yes.
That was Dan Allen?
That's Soul Pumpkin, man.
Are you fucking shitting me?
No, totally.
Did I know that?
Yeah. Maybe not. I think that was before you met Dan Allen, probably, when we were talking about all that.
Shit.
Right? Full circle on that.
We should still do that, by the way.
Oh, yeah, of course.
we can get him involved.
Yeah, I bet.
Hey, man, we're going to use your shit. You should
so long, man. Yeah. Fucking Soul Pumpkin. But yeah, anyway, so Daniel Reeves, he just passed away this past year. He passed away in January, right around when all that stuff was happening. And so, there was a lot going on with the pandemic, a lot of processing of stuff. There were a lot of weird anniversaries, all the like crazy January 6th stuff was happening. And I just found out a really good friend passed away. I had like a full on, and like at this point in time, the kids and Candid had driven down here to hang out with her family down here for like the weekend. Right. They were like, I needed time to finish editing, and I was basically nonstop every single second in front of the screen editing or recording, because I arranged most of the music. I did almost all of the video editing.
Oh my God.
I compiled all the tracks, in Logic and like edited them all. Together. Luckily someone else mixed them. But like by that time I was just so sleep deprived and everything.
So you wrote the parts. Mm-hmm. And then everybody performed them and sent you their tracks.
Yeah, separately.
And then
and then I had to line them all up.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And somebody else fucking mixed it for you.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah. And then I did all the video editing from scratch, right? And then was trying to put together this storyline. And basically the concept of the storyline was my own. Everyone knew kind of what I was doing, but I was like, it can't, it was like that. Yeah. Like I knew what I needed to do.
Yeah.
I was like, I can't let anybody do this. I need to do this. Right. It was for my own cathartic reason, but like I had like a full on panic attack and like was calling Gannon, and like I called my brother, who's like kind of knows what he's doing with some of that stuff. He works with like elderly citizens and knows a little bit of medicine stuff, but his wife is an ER nurse. So it's like, is Aaron with you? Like talk me down from this like thing, make sure I don't like. And he was like giving me tricks to like calm down hyperventilation and shit. And like
get in the moment, man.
I went through like a whole 2-day period of just like, just like feeling really off and weak. And it was like a physical struggle to finish that thing, man. And I think I got paid $400 for it. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's the work reality when you do that whole like do what you love to do, you'll never work a day in your life. It's like that kind of only sometimes works. Like most of the time you just work way too hard on shit because you love to do it, and you want to make sure it's good. Like you don't want it to suck.
You don't want it to suck, dude.
Like how long did we stay up late working on that fucking Mars Volta like arrangements? Remember like picking those damn guitar lines apart?
And I remember like, I was just about to say, I'm not going to name the high school or the school district. But there were months that I did not get paid.
Yeah.
But I showed up when I could. If I had the money to put gas in my car, I showed up. And again, I'm not going to mention names. One of the other directors there noticed that I wasn't getting paid, and he wrote me a check out of his own money.
Right.
And was like, here, dude, I know you're getting screwed. But I showed up because I love those kids, and we worked really hard, and we wanted them to be good, and they were fucking good.
They were good. They had such a great time that year too.
They really did. They had a great time.
They did.
They loved what they were doing. So, I mean, and that ironically fed my soul. It's funny. People ask me, what was it like when you were a musician and a starving artist? And I'm like, a lot of times I tell people straight up, I'm like, that was one of the greatest times of my life. I was poor as shit. I really was. I was poor as shit, but it was awesome. I was doing everything I wanted to do and nothing that I didn't want to do.
Right.
But as I get older, I'm like, there has to be some kind of balance. There has to be.
There has to be. There has to be. That's always that's the goal.
It sounds like you're finding
that balance in check. Yeah, I think it's like, it's a little bit of back and forth every single time, you like tend to go too far in one direction. You got to step back a second and be like, oh, wait a minute. Like, this is where I went wrong with that. Or maybe it wasn't so wrong. I mean, I only got paid $400 for that thing, but I'm super proud of the thing that we turned in.
Right.
And every time I'm going to go back and see it, I'm going to be like, you know what? I fucking like did that, number one. And number two, Like, we survived a pretty fucking crazy ass time in the world. Like,
it's kind of an investment,
to be able to do something like
right?
that.
Don't you
It's
think?
an investment.
It's an investment.
Yeah,
like
for sure.
Hopefully, it's like you don't see it now, but like ideally later on in your future, somebody will go, holy shit, I saw that thing that you did.
Right.
10 years ago during that pandemic. It was fucking mind blowing. And because of that, we're going to give you $400,000 to commission a fucking piece.
Oh God, that would like that's fucking nice.
Crazy
yeah,
shit
right.
That's going to happen.
Well, I mean, even beyond that though, the investment has been in like just the general skill sets that I've been able to learn while doing that shit. Like, I'd never worked in Logic before. I mean, we worked in Pro Tools when we did that shit. I still remember some Pro Tools shortcuts, you know, and like, but I was asking someone what I should get, and I kind of fucked around with GarageBand before, and they were like, you know, oh, you should definitely get Logic. It's just really intuitive. You can learn it really easy. And I did, and I learned so much doing that project. I was like, oh shit, I never thought I would be able to. And so now, like, because I did that and I can show other people, like, you know, now slowly but surely there's been a little work to start returning, and the emails are starting to come in, and you're like, oh, okay. And there's been a couple like remote recording things where it's like, can you do this? I'm like, yeah, not only can I do this, but I can offer you these services as well. And they're like, oh, actually, could you also tack on this into your responsibilities? I can throw this little extra money your way. Whereas before it was like, I didn't have that skill set to be like, oh, I can do this. And I also have proof that I can do it when I send them the link to that shit and be like, here's how I fucking did this. You know, I can do something like this, or I can probably do something a little bit better with a little more time and effort, and like, you know, fall down the YouTube rabbit hole a little bit longer, right? So, so that all of those like kind of little skill sets have been super valuable to learn, and like now because of the pandemic, I basically have a fucking recording studio in my basement up in Silver Spring. You know what I'm saying? Like
that's fucking great.
The goal, that's life goal right there. That's all I've ever wanted since the first time I picked up an instrument. Was like, I want to play music. I just wanted to be able to like have a recording studio in my room, basically. Now there's one in my basement. I just did a track with a friend for it was another friend's birthday, and we were like, we got to do like a music thing for him because we played music with him. And he's German. We found a horrible like Schlager music tune, which is like EDM, like horrible music. We basically recreated it from scratch and recorded all the parts and like found all the MIDI shit and just like a 2-minute long like birthday video that we did from scratch in my basement. And I was just like,
it probably sounds fantastic.
This is fucking hilarious that I can fucking do this right now. And then I drove down here and hopped on a tractor and like rode around on a tractor and like had to fix a generator and took apart a carburetor and was like, well, I don't really know what I'm doing, but I'm going to blow air through all these holes and hope it works. Right. And it worked. And I was like, what the fuck? Dude, like right now I'm enjoying looking back, like taking a step back and going like, my life is weird as fuck right now. And I'm loving every minute of it. Like, despite the fact that there is so much uncertainty in it. And, you know, like, we're doing all stupid financial decisions right now, but who fucking cares, man? I'm just getting so much out of it.
You know, it goes back to what we were saying earlier, man. I think this is the time to make stupid financial decisions.
It's gotta be. What else is there gonna be?
Right. Because the lines are blurred right now. People are trying to figure out how to pay for things.
Mm-hmm.
This is the time. If you're going to do it, fuck up right now. Because...
Yeah.
Take your chances. It's funny, like, when I started working from home, about a year ago, almost a year ago. My desk at home was like nothing. In fact, I made my desk out of an old closet door.
Nice.
It was not even 2 feet wide. I mean, deep. It wasn't even 2 feet deep. It was like door length wide.
Yeah.
But it wasn't even too.
Like everything's single file.
It was enough for a fucking laptop, you know. And
right.
I was doing podcasting before with my ex. We had our own podcast, and I was doing this podcast, but like, it wasn't even like a serious thing. And but then all of a sudden I had to spend 8, 9, 10 hours a day at this desk, and I was like, oh shit, I better get like a legitimate desk and a legitimate chair. I was sitting on like a dining room chair, but my point is, like, people started working from home, and I noticed that office furniture was like, couldn't buy it because everybody was trying to work from home. And then because everybody was trying to work from home, things like microphones were going, you couldn't get them because everybody had to do conferences. Like they had to do Zoom calls. Lighting, you couldn't get lighting because everybody was trying to do Zoom calls, and or more important, more to my point, people were starting to do things like this. They were starting to do their own podcasts. They were starting to do live stream video gaming. They were starting to do a lot of DIY things from their home that they could try to make extra money on. And all that shit was getting bought up. Yeah. It was crazy. But that was like, to me, it was kind of inspiring. Like people were like, okay, well, fuck, I can't go to work. Yeah. What am I going to do? I got to do something. I'm going to make something happen. And people started making shit, which is awesome.
Yeah. It kept people sane.
Yeah.
Kept people real sane.
Sounds like it kept you sane, even though you weren't making a bunch of money.
Yeah, but that wasn't the point. Like, you know, it was stressful. The first 2 months of the pandemic were stress bomb for sure.
Yeah, because it's like frantic, like, oh, fuck.
What the fuck are we going to do? Exactly. Not knowing anything, you know, was going to happen. But it's hilarious because in that first 2 months, like, you know, my parents being my parents, who are wonderful, as your parents, of course, are as wonderful.
My parents are the shit.
Right?
My mom and dad.
And, you know, they immediately knew what was going to happen to our businesses, and, like, they sent us a check, basically. They're like, here's some money.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to pay it back. We know that you're going to be fine, but we also know that you have a lot of stress going on and things to think about. This is one thing that if you need anything right now, use this money to do it. Right. And it was like super kind of them and generous. And immediately I spent it all on microphones and audio interface. But that's already paid for itself now. Right. Like, it's, you know what I mean? Right. Like, it's already gotten me the work that I've needed to continue to do whatever it is I'm going to be doing in the future. Who knows what that's going to be, but just the idea of being able to, like, go and, you know,
it's there,
throw down on that purchase when there is no financial, like, future at all, and just say, you know what? I know that I'm not going to make any money, but I'm still going to spend $5,000 on this whole fucking setup or whatever the fuck it was.
I mean, that's what I did. I'm taking a chance here.
Right?
I mean, I had some extra money and a little bit of a tax return, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to invest in this because it's such a weird thing, but, like, if you don't look professional or sound professional, then you won't be taken seriously.
No.
I mean, I don't have the best gear on the planet, but it looks all right.
But you don't need that. You need know-how more than gear. Yeah, for sure.
You need the know-how, but you also do at some point need the gear. Like a $20 microphone is only going to get you so far.
Yeah.
You know, at the end of the day, it still has to sound good. It's like one of the first things I learned in audio engineering school. If you've got shit coming in, you're going to have shit coming out. You can polish it all you want.
Mantra right there. That's the mantra I live by right now.
Yeah.
Shit in, shit out, dude.
I'm not proud of this. I mean, I kind of am proud of this microphone. It's a decent microphone, RE320.
Dude, I just bought a new microphone the other day. I'm just going to move it into the frame right
I can't see it because you're still frozen from 2 hours ago.
Oh, am I frozen still?
Yeah. It's a great picture.
How lame is that?
What'd you get? Is it a USB mic?
No, fuck no, it's not a USB mic.
Are you using it right now?
I'm using it right now, but I'm in a shitty room, so it probably doesn't sound that great. So when I first bought mics during the pandemic, I bought, like, a smorgasbord of things that I
remember you putting a post up, and I was like, I want to say that I made a comment.
You probably did. You probably did. Because there was also part of that post was miking drums, right? And we talked, I think there was, like, Glenn John's method and all these other methods of miking drums to save me the money on trying to buy more mics. And really that's where I started, was how can I mic my drum kit as best as possible? And from there I can multifunction, use different things. Right. So, and so I bought, like, basically a pair of large diaphragm condensers, a pair of small diaphragm condensers, and then I had a bunch of just regular dynamic mics. Like, I had like 6 or 7 SM57s that I had, like, accumulated from random places over the years.
Accumulated SM57s.
Yeah,
you can get an SM57 to sound like an SM7.
Dude, SM57s are the best.
It really is.
They are so good.
It's a fucking Swiss Army knife.
Everything. Right. And I had one SM58 that I think I bought like 10 years ago or something like that.
Yeah.
So I have that in the back. But yeah, I was like, I need a kick mic. So I,
what'd you get?
Well, I had a, whatever the Shure one is, the 52A or whatever.
Beta 58 or Beta 52.
Yeah, Beta 50. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Beta 58. And then, so I bought the, I bought the D6,
Ooh.
The Shure one. Yeah.
The Audix.
Wait, no.
The Audix D6.
Audix, yeah.
And you have a Beta 52.
Audix D6.
You've got two of the standards right there.
Right. And I was like, that's all I need.
Is
so
the AKG. That's all you're missing.
The 414s?
No, well, yeah, the C414s.
Yeah,
for
right.
Sure. But no, for the kick mic, the AKG D12 or something.
Right. Yeah, the D12. That's exactly right.
It looks like a football.
Yeah. The football. Exactly. That's right. Yeah, right now, my favorite mic setup is to use the D6 and the kick, and I use the Beta 52 up on the floor tom.
Ooh.
That's what I use for my floor tom. No, I go up above it. I go up above it, yeah. And then I use 57s for the 2 rack toms, depending on how many rack toms I have. And then I use and then I'll go back and forth between the large diaphragms or the small diaphragms on the overheads or whatever.
What'd you get for
57s
the overheads? I want to say you were talking about AKGs, weren't you? What were you getting?
Oh, well, I wanted the AKGs, but I didn't want because there was the cheaper kind. There was like the C414s or whatever the like cheaper ones are.
I think the 214 is the cheaper one, right?
Yeah, maybe that's right. Yeah. And I was thinking about those, but in the end I was like, no, if I get AKGs, large diaphragms, they're going to be the 414s, but I don't have like $4,000 right now
to spend on two
or whatever. Yeah. So I was doing some research and I actually got some stereo electronic microphones, some SEs. I think they're 4400As is what they're called. What? They're like multi-directional, like they've got like a switch for loads of different patterns. Right. There's a couple pads on it. There's a couple like filters on it. Right. So it's just like, and it sounds really good. Like it sounds great for voice and it also sounds great on instruments and like it has a lot of versatility. So I was like, this will cover my bases and I can get 2 of them for like I think I got 2 for like maybe $1,200 or something like that. Which is still like a pretty penny for mics, but
better than 414s.
Those are like
cheaper than 414s.
Yeah, right.
Dude, I got MXL large condensers. That's how I started.
Dude, I got MXL small condensers. Those are my small condensers. My MXLs. No, they're great.
They're not.
They're fantastic. They sound really good.
So what I do to mic my kit is I have an SM57 on my snare, and then this actually doubles as a kick mic.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, there's a filter on it it's like the kick setting or whatever.
Like a low pass filter or something like that on it? Yeah.
It's got a dip. I forget what the dip is at. It's at like 300 hertz, something like that. But yeah, you can switch it over and it's like the kick drum setting.
That's it.
Yeah. And then I use the MXLs overhead and that's all I have. I don't have tom mount, mics.
That's all you really need. Like, there's so many times now where someone's like, I need something simple. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to set up 3 mics.
Well, and when you get to mixing, you can set up your EQ if you do it right. If you do it just right, you get like a spectrum analyzer. You can find where those toms are resonating. You can boost that a little bit.
Get those a little more if you need them.
You can also crank up your highs for your cymbals and just call it a day. That's what I do.
Yeah.
My toms sound
great. You don't hardly even have to do that with the cymbals, man. Those things are always fucking.
You just cut the low end out, Anyway, we're digressing into things that we don't need to digress into.
I didn't even tell you. So the mic that I'm using, though, which you're going to be happy about this, even though it's the poor man's version of what I want eventually and what all of us want eventually, is, because I wanted, opportunity came about. Someone was like, can you record a drum track for me for this thing? I was like, yeah, but I can also offer these things. And he was like, well, actually, I have a vocalist who needs to do vocals on something. She was just going to do it into her computer speakers. But if you're feeling safe, or at some point in time, would you be willing to open up your studio or, what I call the basement, but he called it a studio, so I'm not going to correct him. And he was like, would you be willing to open up your studio to have her come in and record vocals? And I was like, yeah, absolutely. So I took the money that I was going to be making on that and instead invested into another mic that I can use for another vocal mic, and got a Neumann TLM 103.
Oh,
yeah, which is the poor man U87.
Bro.
But
yo, we used that on your composition recital.
Did you use that on the composition recital?
Yeah, we had 2 of them.
2 U87s or 2 103s? Nice.
What was the one? The quartet. We had a string. You had a string quartet, right?
Yeah, the string quartet.
That's what we used. Yeah. We recorded that in stereo. It sounds phenomenal.
That one is my favorite recording out of all those pieces. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, by far. It sounds so good.
Yep.
Dude. Yeah. So the only reason I bought it was because I want a fucking Neumann mic in my basement, man.
What are you putting it into?
Who doesn't want
what are you putting it into?
Well, right now I'm putting into a shitty little Alesis Multimix 4 because it's my travel interface to bring that down with me to the winery.
Yeah.
My interface up in Silver Spring is a PreSonus Quantum 2626, which is a little bit better. Eventually I will upgrade to some universal audio stuff when I can afford it, because that's the shit. But it will take a while to get there.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, like I need, and I'm like doing my research, because maybe before I do that, I'll find a nice preamp that I can run this Neumann into that'll warm it up a little bit more, that I can date into the Quantum,
keep your eyes
or even just its own thing. Yeah, dude. Yeah, but it's fun, man. It's fun to get into the fucking rabbit hole of all this shit again. Like,
it really is.
The last time I was thinking about this stuff was with you down in Dallas in that goddamn studio, and just running around like basically being your tech or whatever. As like I learned how to. That's how I learned how to roll cables. That's how I learned how to set up, like even just miking for a lot of the stuff I do in the first place, and thinking about that shit. Like, dude, I remember a lot of that shit still.
I paid a lot of money for that information.
Yeah.
I went to fucking Dallas Sound Lab for school. I'm still paying off that debt.
Jeez. That's nuts.
All right. I have to call it because I really have to piss. Dude, we're going to do this again.
Dude.
Hopefully we answered the question. I think we did.
What was the question? Was there a question?
Really the main central idea of what this whole podcast is about. Like, how are you really just being more than just the worker bee who goes to work and brings home money? Like, how are you keeping your soul alive? Yeah. And it sounds like that's pretty much what you're doing. And the pandemic was a unforeseen, tragically wonderful, opportunity. It sounds like,
Very much so. Yeah, very much so.
Which is,
with all of its negatives and all of its stressors.
Yeah.
But
I hope more people can see it that way. Like, if they can,
Yeah.
It seems like there's almost always a silver lining if you're just willing to, pay attention to it.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I mean, if nothing more than the fact that, like, this is the one thing that every single human being on this planet right now can relate to.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly.
It's one thing that we can talk to anybody else on the planet about. They're going to have their own experience and their own angle on it.
Yeah.
But they're still going to be able to have a conversation with you about it. And that, like, connection point, more than anything else, is just so important for kind of where we've gotten to at this point in time. As disconnected as we might feel, we're all, like, in a weird way, much closer than I think we've ever been in our lifetimes, So
it's a really interesting point that you just brought up. Like, how, like, people are always like, oh, where were you on 9/11? This is bigger than that. This is a whole world thing. You could literally talk to anybody on the globe, pretty much anybody on the globe, and be like, remember that time? Fucking had that crazy fucking virus? We all had to stay in our houses? Yeah, I remember that shit.
We all had to be in our houses for a while? Yeah, no shit, right? What did you do?
Yeah, what did you do?
Like, what did you do? How did you, like, stay sane? How did you, like, do this or do that? Yeah. Yeah.
Fuck.
So,
damn it.
Dude, this was such a great hang, man. Thanks so much for inviting me on. And
not a problem, dude.
Yeah, let's chat and, like, at some point, I'm really serious. The reason we bought this place was at some point have some people down and to kind of do that connection thing. So yeah, be expecting to make the road trip down, or however you want to make it down at some point, and
teleport.
We'll show you the place properly and bring the kiddos so they get plenty of room to run around.
Oh, that would be awesome.
And know what I'm saying? Like, that's what this is going to, that's mainly what this is for.
You're trying to recruit me into your cult.
Stuff is going to be a bonus.
Trying to recruit me into your cult.
Yeah, definitely. Well, you've already got a beard. You're there.
That's true. And there's wine, so that's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
Or jelly.
A little bit of both.
All right, we're going to do this again. I'm going to have Manny on again. This was fucking amazing. And, dude, you were my first guest, by the way.
This is so great.
So you should feel honored. By the time I'm Joe Rogan, you're going to be hugely famous.
We're going to look back on us. There we go.
Yeah. All right.
We're always famous to your parents. That's all that matters to me.
My parents and one other person who remains anonymous.
I love it.
I'm looking through the chat right now. It's literally just my parents. All right. I have to plan this. That's a lesson learned. I have to plan this a little fucking better.
You need the spacesuit now.
I need
just like goes
suit.
directly
That's
to
right.
the
Or like a funnel. The bathroom's across the hall. Maybe I can just funnel it. Never mind.
Or adult diapers, but maybe you don't want to get to that point yet.
Yeah, no, not yet.
Yeah.
Not yet. I'm still kind of young. All right.
Oh yeah, dude.
I'm hanging up. We're ending the chat. It's going to be fucking fantastic. I'm going to post this on the Spotify's and the iTuneses. Do you want to put out any kind of contact information, any plugs, any kind of stuff like that?
Do I really have anything to plug? That's the question. Actually, there is one thing that I'm like excited about that's coming up for anyone who is out there who's actually like listening to this.
There are thousands of listeners,
besides Pat's parents. But actually, really only for Pat's parents who see it. I just did a little like live stream performance with a group last week. We recorded it a few weeks back and they aired it last week. But it's a cool like world music group, like world jazz group, and we actually got invited to play Blues Alley here in DC, and we're doing a live stream from Blues Alley on Monday, March 29th. I think it might be at 7, maybe at 8. Anyway, I have it's up on the like Blues Alley page. For DC, and there's like you can RSVP for a link, and they like actually sell tickets to the link. It's a private thing, and the tickets get more expensive on the day, so it's worth like signing up in advance.
I can do it.
I wish I had like actual websites and things to plug, but I'm too lazy for that kind of shit, man.
Well, if you find it,
I'm old school.
Yeah, I know. It took you like a fucking hour to figure out how to use Skype. So
that's exactly right.
Just if you find that stuff, just give me this, and I'll try to put it in the show notes or something.
All right, it's on my. You're my Facebook. It's on my Facebook page thingy.
All right,
I'll try to forward it to you on the messenger.
I'll track it down. Don't worry
about it. You'll track it down much sooner than it will take me to fucking forward it to you. Let's be honest about one thing. We all know who I am. You better than most people, I shall say. So.
Yeah, that's fucking true. All right. Good talk. We're gonna fucking end it here. I love you, and be in touch.
Sounds great, man.
All right.
Have a great night.
You too, brother.
All right, Mom.
Later.